All right, we'll now have 1 minute of silence so that the judges can complete their ballots. Our second speaker, Jack Fruin. Ship of Fate, Jack Fruin.
Mr. Contest Master, guests and fellow Toastmasters, I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea in the sky. And all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. That's the first line of a poem by John Masefield, who indeed loved the sea, as most of us do. And I'm sure most of us will go down to the sea sometime this summer. But do not treat the sea lightly, my friends. It may be heavenly, but it can also be hellish. And this hellish beast has demons working its evil. These demons perform their most heinous deeds when they appear in their most evil form of all, power boats owned by friends. Yes, there was one such vessel from Hades that haunted me one summer. I don't want to sound like some old salt telling a seafaring tale, but I might not be able to help it. I'll tell ye a tale that'll turn your hair white. Aye, 'twas the summer of 4 years ago it was, and 4 young engineers with song in their heart set forth on one of the most treacherous of the 7 seas, the hauntingly romantic Bridgeport Harbor. The ship, a 17-footer from bow to stern, with an outboard motor capable of propelling us to up to 15 knots when the wind was with us, and seating for 4, much like this mock-up I had built over the weekend. Perfect for what was presumed to be a leisurely Friday evening oceanic cruise. And it was exactly that for the first 2 hours or so, but by the time we started back around 7:30 p.m., we were traveling against not only the tide, but the current of the Housatonic River as well. And the engine was straining against the oncoming water. For the next half hour, we cursed the ship. More power, we raged. It was getting dark, and at this rate, we wouldn't be back in time to find our landmarks. It was time to cut the engine and think things out. But whoa, that didn't stop the tide and the current. We kept drifting toward Portugal. The anchor, of course. That'll buy us some time. So as the captain and the other 2 shipmates were looking for the anchor, the ship slowly turned 180 degrees, pointing us out to sea. This put me facing eastward with my back to the others. And whilst I waxed philosophic about my Irish ancestors, I began to become aware that a heated discussion was taking place in the back of the boat. The captain, as much of a neophyte of the sea as I was, had decided to throw the anchor off the rear of the boat. Now that's a big no-no in itself, but on top of that, the anchor line had wrapped around the propeller shaft. So at this moment, there are 3 downward vectors acting at the rear of the boat, which where it happens to sit lowest in the water line. The 3 vectors, the anchor, 3 180-pound males, and 1 idiot pulling on the anchor line. It was at this moment I heard the fateful phrase of one of my colleagues, "Hey, cut it out or you'll sink the boat." At which point I turned just in time to see the briny beast crest the rear railing. We were going in, and that's all there was to it. But by this time, the ship was starting to roll over, and it was action time. Being the city slicker that I am, I put one hand on my wallet, one hand on my keys, and took one giant step into the watery darkness. What followed then was about a minute of flailing at the water, swearing, and assigning blame to our predicament. Suddenly, a lucky break. The boat, although upside down, was floating. Back on board we climbed. It had tried to ruin us, but we would use its carcass to save our hides. So there we sat, on an upside-down boat, in the pitch black of night. What do we do now? The solution was to let our instincts take over, and it felt very natural. We screamed like 4 hysterical old women. Ah, upside-down boat, ah! Truly the high point of masculinity. This went on for about 15 minutes until we heard a distant voice. "Hey, you blankety blank, shut up, you're scaring the fish away. We're saved, we're upside about, help us." The voice, "Shut up or I'll come over there and shut you up." And for an instant, our reaction was, "Shh, quiet, he's mad." Back to reality, "We're upside about, help us." "All right, you guys, you asked for it." And as his engine grew louder, both fear and relief grew inside us. He was within 20 yards of us when he hit us with a blinding spotlight and probably saw the most pathetic sight of his sailing career. 4 huddled, shivering men with a look of crazed helplessness in their eyes. His reaction? Holy expletive. He swore like a sailor. "I'll get some help. Boom, and away he goes. No, don't leave us." But he didn't. Within 2 minutes, the Coast Guard was there. My first reaction? Hey, maybe we'll get on the news. But no news crews at hand, just disgusted Coast Guard personnel listening to how the boat tried to kill us. They took us onto their boat with our boat in tow to the Stratford Marina, where equally disgusted Stratford police took us from the marina to our cars. Well, cold, disgusted, and mad at the captain, I told him that I never wanted to see him or his cursed vessel ever again. But I got not either wish. Later that summer, the captain called for a favor. Could he perhaps store some items in my backyard until he makes other storage arrangements? Well, not being a man of details all the time, I said, sure. Tomorrow's Saturday, I'll be at a wedding all day. Leave whatever you've got in my backyard, and no problem. I recall him quickly saying thanks and hanging up. And yes, my friends, you can imagine the horror. The horror that very next day when I pulled into my driveway to find that beast of Poseidon in my backyard. It had tracked me down like Captain Ahab, and now sat mocking me with the painful images it brought back. But I felt not fear, but fury. How dare it intimidate me in my own backyard? It does not control fate here, I do. And to prove it, I'll march right up to it in my 100% worsted wool suit and slap its face. I marched toward the beast with a purposeful stride, my infuriated gaze transfixed on it, which was a mistake. Why? Because being too cheap to pave that section of the driveway, the front wheel of the boat trailer, which carries a good portion of the boat weight, carved a 6-inch wide muddy ravine into the very damp earth. In went my left foot, quickly followed by my worsted wool rear end, back, and head. The hellish beast had won again. So take heed of the power of the sea, my friends, and its evil agents, for though you may think it, you aren't always truly at the helm. Mr. Contest Master.
Your third place winner in the 1996 Humorous Speech Contest from District 46, Anita Capona. Go ahead, right up there. The second place winner, Doug Diggins. I don't remember. And Doug was representing District 38. And now for our first place winner. Can we have a little drum roll? I love to do that when I give this job. From District 53, Jack Fruin.